vowed to rebuild their lives, saying that they don't want to let the terrorists win.
Kirsty Murray and fiancé Radley Rushkovich were seriously injured and thought they'd never see each other again after they were separated for 24 hours as they fled the gunman.
It was described as Britain's worst terrorist attack since 7/7. Back in June, at the height of the holiday season, a government extremist, Saifuddin Rezgi, opened fire on a crowded beach in Sousse, Tunisia, a popular tourist destination. 38 people were killed, 30 of them British. At the time Rezgi started shooting, Kirsty Murray and her fiancé, Radley Rushkovich, were in the pool at their hotel. They ran for cover but got separated when Radley was badly injured by a grenade. Kirsty carried on running, but into a dead end. She was shot several times in both legs. Miraculously, the couple survived, but for 4 hours neither of them knew if the other was alive. After being reunited in hospital, we spoke to them.
I don't think I'd want to be here if I made it and she didn't. I can't put it into words. It's just too horrific. Devastating.
For Kirsty in particular, it's been a slow recovery. She's had more than 10 operations and still needs the use of a wheelchair. But now, just out of hospital, she and Radley are finally rebuilding their lives.
Kirsty and Radley are with us this morning. It's lovely to see you again. Thanks so much for being with us on the programme this morning. And it's lovely to see you together because there was a moment, wasn't there, Radley, where you wondered whether you'd see each other again?
Yeah, there was. I was in hospital in Tunisia, and I didn't know where she was when I was actually carried away by two Tunisians. I didn't know where he was, and I could hear sort of shots going off. So in my head, you obviously think the worst, and I carried that for sort of a good day.
We got hit by a grenade, and that's what separated us. We were holding hands, running until we got separated, and then I could hear Radley shouting for me, calling my name, and I was shouting back, and I sort of said I love you because I thought I wasn't going to get out of there, and he got carried away, and so I got rescued like a little bit after.
But even the moment when you were rescued, you didn't think you were going to come through it, did you? You actually said to the kind, ordinary Tunisian person that helped you that you goodbye in a way, didn't you?
I was losing so much blood. I looked down and I could see big holes in my legs, and my wrist was bleeding out, and I was put on the back of like a pickup truck, and the back was down, so I had to hold myself on there so I didn't fall out while they were driving really fast sort of to the hospital.
Goodness me.
It's unimaginable, the horror that you've been through, and I know as well as the injuries that you received, you saw some pretty dreadful things that day. It's to see you here together is fantastic, and I know that people's hearts will go out to you. It has had, inevitably, it's only 11 weeks since it happened, but there are still effects, aren't there?
Oh yeah, there's obviously with the sort of psychological side of it, it's hard for your mind to process that sort of information, and then there's sort of like nightmares and just generally being in kind of public places, really. Your mind doesn't really know that you're safe, and it's hard.
We both saw some other poor people getting shot point blank in the head, and we both thought he was coming for us next. So we sometimes wake up in the middle of the night when I see it. We see it, don't we? It's just flashbacks of that point.
And the noise of the grenade.
Yeah, and his face, he was just so cool and calm and just walking around, just shooting, like all these people that were injured on the floor, and I thought it was my turn next, and that's when I turned away and pretended that I was dead, and after that we got rescued.
And being together must be such a huge thing to comfort each other, and yet also, I guess, it's hard for you to talk to each other because you don't want to trigger, if one of you's having a good day, you don't want to turn it into a bad day.
It's almost kind of like eggshells, I don't want to say anything and set her back. She doesn't want to say anything and set me back, so we kind of just, you know, finding a routine and working out how to be around each other and be positive rather than, you know, be negative.
And as well as the medical treatment, you are getting counselling, which, you know, is clearly really, really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you have great hopes and optimism,
Definitely.
don't you?
Yes.
Because you've got big plans ahead.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon for you?
Hopefully, obviously, we'll have a wedding and get married. Both of us get back to work and just basically get our lives back.
Yeah.
Get back together.
Yeah, back to normality, you know, back to work and the everyday things that you kind of take for granted, you know, I miss.
Yeah.
Of course, well, everyone watching will be willing that for you and wishing you all the happiness in the world as a way. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you. It's great to see you together this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's just coming.